Donald Trump held a rambling press conference today where he defended accepting a blatantly corrupt gift from a foreign country and talked about his decision to de-escalate his trade war against China, which he and his allies are calling a deal, even though it's not clear what we get out of this deal other than lowering the tariffs that Trump raised in the first place. Also, he repeatedly called a friend of his neurotic and fat, his words. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. As usual, there's just too much happening, and that's by design. The Trump administration wants us to feel overwhelmed and exhausted by a million simultaneous outrages, so when we speak up about them, they can call us crazy. It's the same strategies airlines use. You wait on hold for an hour, and then you tell a customer service rep, my flight was delayed, the seat didn't recline, the Wi-Fi didn't work, my meal was terrible, I missed my connection, and my luggage was lost. And they say, okay, sounds like somebody has airplane derangement syndrome. In just the past few days, masked agents arrested the mayor of Newark for protesting at ICE jail that local officials say is illegal. The GOP unveiled a bill that would destroy Medicaid so we can afford tax cuts for the wealthy. And Trump appointed another screaming lunatic to a high-profile position in the government. And if you think Fox host Jeanine Pirro, who Trump just appointed as U.S. Attorney for D.C., is crazy, you're not alone. Same for Dr. Oz, who Trump put in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. People see them not as serious professionals, but as ridiculous TV personalities. And that is according to Trump himself.
CMS administrator, a friend of mine, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who is an amazing guy. You know, I was telling Bobby before, Oz had a very successful show, but it hurt his reputation. Because when you're in show business, it hurts your reputation a little bit. It's good for you, but in terms of professionalism and being a doctor, it sort of hurts your reputation. You know who I compare that to? I hate to say this, but a special woman, Jeanine Pirro. She was the toughest, smartest DA, maybe in our countries, in our cities and states history, New York. She was really tough, really sharp. Then she did a show. And people didn't think of her quite the same way. She became more of an entertainment person, like us.
First of all, being an entertainment person doesn't seem to be bothering you very much. Pirro is the 23rd current or former Fox News employee hired by the Trump White House. If you work at Fox News right now and you haven't been offered a job by this administration, you must be thinking, does he, hate me? Second, are Dr. Oz and Jeanine Pirro supposed to feel good when they hear their so-called friend Donald Trump talking about them like this? Two amazing people, but then they went on TV and people lost respect for them. Not just me, everyone. But they were not the only friends of Trump who found themselves in the crosshairs this morning. This press conference was supposed to be about prescription drug prices, which led to this very profound bit of wisdom from the president.
I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug.
In the annals of presidential history, we had FDR's fireside chats, JFK's inaugural address, and now Donald Trump saying, my overweight friend takes the fat shot drug. Are you talking about Ozempic, or did you fall asleep watching TV and hallucinate again? I have a friend, he takes the fat shot. His name is Sherman Klump, and he takes the shot, and he turns into Buddy Love. Now he's smooth-talking, attractive guy, but after a period of time, he turns back into Klump, and then he goes to the family dinner, and he plays all the characters, and they all pass gas. It's very sad. It's also very funny, but it's very sad. Also, if your friend is as neurotic as you say he is, he must be loving you slowly describing his identity to the national press. Friend of mine, very successful, very obese. Anyone want to throw out some guesses? Sadly for Trump's friend, he wasn't done.
And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy. Very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88, and in New York I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?
I have no idea. For real, this is half a story and half a game of charades. Rich guy, rough, fat, buys drugs in London. Takes the fat shot. It's not working. Being friends with Donald Trump is a nightmare. At any point, you can find yourself being on from the White House in front of a bank of cameras and microphones. And to make matters worse, we know Trump is capable of being nice. It's just that these are the people he's nice to.
I got along great with Putin. I got along great with President Xi. I got along great with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He liked me. I got along great with him.
President Xi, smart, top of his game. President Putin, smart. Very smart people. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Wonderful man. Hannibal Lecter didn't need the fat shot because he had the mask. The mask blocked the food. Again, this press conference was supposed to be about lowering the cost of prescription drugs, although I'm certain no one watching the press conference had any idea, since Trump spent most of his time insulting various close personal friends of his. And even when he did get around to talking about prescription drugs, it was impossible to follow what he was saying.
Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. You know, it depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it in the way mathematically.
If you put those same words in anyone else's voice, we would immediately recognize them as senile. Here, I'll show you. I'll just pick someone at random. Let's say, all right, Joe Biden. Between 59 and 80. I guess even 90%. We're getting them down. 60, 70, 80, 90%. But actually more than that, if you think about it. In a way, mathematically. I got a friend. He got the fat shot. You can't just say random numbers that keep going higher and higher and expect people to believe you. You're supposed to be lowering the cost of prescription drugs, not auctioning them off. 60, 70, 80, do I hear 90? 90, the neurotic man in the back, do I have 100? Of course, as always with Trump, this is just more smoke and mirrors bull. What he's really doing is not lowering prescription drug costs here at home. He wants to raise them for people in Europe, so they're just as expensive there as they are here.
First, I'm directing the U.S. trade representatives and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that, that game is up, sorry. And if they want to get cute, then they don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. It's a very big subject. And they won't get cute.
I love watching him shift from his speech to when he's just talking off the cuff, unfairly shifting the burden to the American consumer. I got a fat friend. So basically, Donald Trump is saying to Americans, I know the drug companies are you over, but don't worry, I'm going to make sure they do it to Europeans too. Feel better? That's why pharmaceutical stocks are actually up today. They get what's going on here. It's another PR stunt, like Trump's fake trade deal with China, which is just an agreement to lower the tariffs that Trump raised in the first place.
A temporary new trade agreement has been reached between the U.S. and China. The two countries announced the agreement in a joint statement shared by the White House.
The U.S. and China announcing they will dramatically reduce tariffs for 90 days while they continue to negotiate.
We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause. I would imagine that in the next few weeks, we will be meeting again to get rolling on a more fulsome agreement.
With this China deal, the question is, what is it for and what did we gain?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that there's any gain for the United States here.
This is what Trump does. He creates a problem, then he solves the problem he created by just undoing the thing he did, then claims credit for the end result, which is nothing. But on Fox News, they call him a genius, and if they're lucky, he makes them, I don't know, Undersecretary of Agriculture. Meanwhile, the rest of us are back at square one. In fact, it's worse than square one because there's been massive economic damage in the interim. Prices went up, dock workers lost jobs, 401ks plunged. The market is still lower today than it was on Inauguration Day, just so Trump could say stuff like this.
Yesterday, we achieved a total reset with China. The talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week.
Heads up, President Xi, whatever you do, don't tell Trump what prescription drugs you're taking. A friend of mine, world leader, big country, I won't name it, but it's where the fancy plates come from. He called me, he said, Mr. Trump, bad news, I've got the Peyronie's. If you don't know what it is, it's when this does this. It goes this. If you don't know, I guess you're not watching the Golf Channel because I see a lot of advertisements for it.
So we've learned once again that Trump can't close a deal when it benefits the United States, but on the other hand, he can definitely clinch a deal when it benefits him.
The royal family of Qatar is giving a luxury jumbo jet to serve as Air Force One, and the president will also be able to use it after he leaves office.
The Trump administration is poised to accept that luxury jumbo jet, which has a value estimated at $400 million, as a gift from the government of Qatar. The aircraft would be used by President Trump as a new Air Force One and then transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation shortly before he leaves office.
This is the airplane, a 13-year-old Boeing 747-8, known as a Flying Palace. The aircraft is larger and significantly more luxurious than the current Air Force One. The Qatari plane has 2 fully furnished floors, complete with plush carpet, leather couches, and 2 bedrooms.
Why does the president need a luxury jumbo jet with 2 fully furnished floors? It's one thing to say the president needs a high-tech meeting room where he can be securely briefed on urgent crises or a state-of-the-art medical room for emergencies, but why does he need leather couches and plush carpets? Is there also a tiger skin rug and a golden bidet that shoots champagne up his ass? But the craziest part is the scheme to transfer the plane from the government to Donald Trump for his personal use after the end of his term. That's insane. That's like if after France gave us the Statue of Liberty in 1885, Grover Cleveland got to take it home and keep it in his backyard. And yes, for that joke, we did have to Google who was president when we got the Statue of Liberty. And it turns out, you guys, it was Grover Cleveland, which no one remembers because he didn't get to keep it. But Trump thinks actually we're all being jerks for not letting him just take this special gift.
If we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
One, no one thinks you would ever say no to a free plane. What'd Don say? 2, they're not giving it to us. They're giving it to you. It would be different if Qatar said, here's a free 2-story luxury jet, and every American will be entitled to 1 free ride to a destination of their choosing. You could take it to Europe to buy some cheap prescription drugs before Trump jacks up the price. The contrast couldn't be any clearer. When it comes to negotiating on behalf of American taxpayers, either in the case of trade with China or prescription drugs, Trump caves. But when it comes to negotiating for himself, Trump doubles down. If you ask Trump to do the right thing, he'll say fat chance, or I guess he'd say
fat shot.
This has been a closer look.
Thanks for watching.